Hey, Broken World Entertainment, and Matt Reeves is talking now about the Batman, more specifically the Batman Part 2, where he's touching on the sequel's villain and the possible winter setting for it, which of course is where the Mr. Freeze stuff was coming up, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But he's also confirmed that he still plans to make this a trilogy, which is interesting seeing as how long it's been taking him to even do the Batman Part 2. But we'll have a look at this because he does reiterate that the Penguin does lead in to the movie. Now this is where it's getting a bit confusing because they've been saying it was going to lead into the next movie, and then they were also saying actually no it isn't. So which is it? Is it leading into it or isn't it? Oh, by the way, when it comes to the Penguin, they've also confirmed that there will be no Bruce Wayne or Batman in it. So, kind of dropped the ball there. But let's be honest, they probably couldn't persuade Robert Pattinson to do the show. So, we'll have a look at this article that goes over this anyway. So, it says, while doing press for HBO's The Penguin spin-off series, the Batman director Matt Reeves has shared some very interesting new details about his upcoming sequel, which is scheduled to begin shooting early next year. While speaking to Collider, Reeves confirmed that he still intends to complete the trilogy he originally envisioned prior to James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over as co-heads of the recently implemented DC studios. And he said this, "Yes, that is still the plan. I mean, it's sticking very closely to the path we envisioned." So that's what he said. There was some concern that any plans that may have been in place would be changed with the formation of the DCU, especially since a new take on the Dark Knight is set to be introduced in The Brave and the Bold down the line. And Reeves admitted, things kind of shifted, so when we came up with the idea to do The Penguin, that was something where I had always intended to continue Penguin's story and wanted to tell this story of his beginning of rise to power, because we know that he's introduced in the Batman as a kind of mid-level, sort of overlooked, mocked figure who's not yet in anyone's eyes the kingpin we come to know him as in the lore. And so that was deliberate because I wanted, whereas it wasn't Batman's origin story, I wanted the origin stories of these other characters, of the Rogues Gallery, and that story was originally going to be the entry into the next movie. So that's where he's saying that the idea of building Penguin to be this big bad and to become the true Penguin we know from Batman lore and stuff was the original idea to be going into the next movie. Now it's interesting that it says was the original idea, so is it or isn't it, we don't know. So Reeves went on to confirm that the Penguin picks up about a week after the events of the Batman. So we're not looking at him a year later or 2 years, it's a week after the conclusion of that film. Which is interesting that you're going to watch this show knowing it's meant to take a week after a movie that came out, 4 years ago at this stage? So the story plays out over the next weeks that take you toward the end of the year. We don't play Christmas or New Year's, but we're getting there. So the director has previously revealed that the Batman Part 2 will pick up shortly after the Penguin final, which obviously suggests that the sequel will have a winter setting. So again, there's more of that kind of conversation of it's going to take place right after the Penguin. So again, it's really confusing with the Penguin as to, does that lead into this bloody movie? We're not sure. But if he's saying it will take place shortly after the final of the Penguin series, then they're suggesting it could be around Christmas time or something as a setting. So it says, as for the movie's mysterious antagonists, Reeves isn't quite ready to reveal who the Caped Crusader will be facing off against next, but he did touch on the subject during a separate interview with Total Film. And he said this, "I want the emotional part of the story to be Robert Pattinson's to be Bruce and Batman's. I'm excited by the antagonist of the next movie, but I don't want Batman's arc to step back to allow space for another group of characters. So that almost sounds like he is hinting at Hush. So whether it is or isn't, because if it wants to be kind of that emotional part to Bruce and Batman, that would indicate Hush. But it probably won't be, because he teased that in the first movie and it came to nothing. So it says this would seem to indicate that Bats won't be up against numerous villains, as previous rumours have claimed. We know Colin Farrell will be back as the Penguin, so there's always a chance the movie's primary antagonist will be Barry Keoghan's Joker. Gotta hope not. Farrell may have hinted at his alliance in the following blah 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 whatever. And we also know that he has come out and said he doesn't want to wear that suit ever again. But yeah, if you're listening to the way it's being described as it wants it to be an emotional part of Bruce and Batman's story, yeah, that would indicate a friend, and of course that led to Hush. So is he going that route? Because how would the emotional part of it be with Joker? Especially this version of Joker, who's much, much younger, and even younger than Batman, which is just ridiculous and stupid. But it's interesting. The winter setting, I think you could also look at it being like, oh, the Penguin's going to come back into it. It's a winter setting. Is he just going to be basically remaking Batman Returns? Wouldn't be surprised. It's very possible. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. It is interesting that they are planning to film it early next year, and from what we understand, there's still no actual script for this thing. At least every time, what's his name, Jeffrey Wright speaks, he still says, like, I haven't seen a script. So it's weird. The whole situation with this movie is weird. Just how long it's taken them to get to doing it. The Penguin obviously took so much focus away from doing it. The change at DC and Warner Brothers with the ousting of the old crew and bringing in James Gunn and stuff. And has James Gunn even slowed down the process? Who knows? And will he want to have a bit of control in it? Oh, God. No, I hope not. We'll have to wait and find out. But let's see what comes of it. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Cheers, and I shall catch you in the next.